A love that started in a small cafe. There's something about the simplicity of a cafe that makes it the perfect place for a new beginning. It's the kind of setting where the noise of the world fades away, and all that's left is a cup of coffee, a quiet conversation, and the feeling that something important is happening. It wasn't a grand moment, nothing dramatic, but that's where it all started for me. It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon when I first saw her. I had stopped by my favorite cafe, the one I'd been visiting for years, the one that felt like a second home. It was nothing special, just the usual a warm cup of coffee and a quiet corner to work in. But that day, something was different. I noticed her sitting by the window, her face illuminated by the soft light coming through the glass. She was reading a book, completely absorbed in it. The kind of peaceful concentration that made her seem almost otherworldly. There was something about the way she was so lost in the world of her book, and yet there was an openness in her that made me want to know more. I didn't plan on speaking to her. In fact, I wasn't sure I'd even have the courage to approach her. But as I waited for my coffee, I couldn't help but watch her, drawn to the quiet energy she radiated. There was no rush, no hurry in her movements. She just existed, completely comfortable in the moment, and that made me want to be part of it. I sat down at a table nearby, pretending to focus on my laptop, but really, my eyes kept drifting back to her. I wondered if she noticed me watching, if she felt the same quiet pull that I did, but she didn't seem to notice at all, lost in her book, unaware of the stranger across the room. Then, as if the universe decided it was time, the moment arrived. She reached for her coffee cup, but as she lifted it, the cup tipped over, spilling coffee all over the table and the floor. I jumped up instinctively, grabbing napkins, trying to help, but she was already apologizing, laughing nervously as she tried to clean up the mess. "I'm so sorry," she said, looking embarrassed, her cheeks flushing a little. I couldn't help but smile, the way she laughed it off, not making a big deal out of it. "It's okay, really," I said, crouching down beside her, trying to help as best I could. And that was how we started talking. Not with a grand introduction, not with some clever line or smooth move, but with spilled coffee, awkward laughter, and a simple moment of shared vulnerability. We ended up sitting together after that, both of us laughing at the mishap. She told me she'd come to the cafe to escape a hectic day, and I couldn't help but feel that maybe we were both there for the same reason. To escape, even if just for a little while. And somehow, in that small cafe, the noise of the world outside didn't matter anymore. It was just the two of us, talking like we had known each other for years. It didn't happen all at once, this connection between us. It wasn't love at first sight in the traditional sense. But there was something there, something that kept pulling us back to each other. We kept running into each other at the cafe. Every time I came in, she was there. And vice versa. Our conversations grew longer, our connection deeper. And before I knew it, I was looking forward to those quiet afternoons. More than anything, we never rushed things. We didn't need to. It was the kind of relationship that grew slowly, naturally, without any pressure. We talked about books, about life, about everything, and nothing at all. It wasn't about grand gestures or making promises we couldn't keep. It was just about being together, in that small cafe where everything seemed a little bit easier. And one day, after months of coffee spills and quiet conversations, she looked at me in that way she always did, with a softness in her eyes that made me feel like I was home. Even though we weren't anywhere special. "I think I'm falling for you," she said, her voice quiet but sure. And in that moment, I realized I had been falling for her too. Not because of anything extraordinary, but because of everything ordinary, those simple moments that had turned into something more. Sometimes, love doesn't start with fireworks. Sometimes it starts with a spilled coffee cup, a shared laugh, and the kind of quiet connection that feels like it was always meant to be. It's not about finding someone to sweep you off your feet. It's about finding someone who makes the everyday moments feel like magic. Someone who makes you realize that love doesn't always need to be loud. It can be quiet, steady, and simple and still. It's everything you've ever wanted. And so, in that small cafe, we found something real, not because it was perfect, but because it was honest, it was ours, and it was built on something as simple as a cup of coffee and a conversation that never had to end. I am Lucy, and this is Unsaid Love.